organ of which we have yet to completely understand. What we do know of it is that it controls all basic functions of our anatomy and is the home of our behavior. In this presentation, we will be exploring the language portion of the brain and how it reacts to language and the cognitive benefits of bilingualism. We're going to begin at the cognitive development of children and compare those of monolingual and bilingual. Ellen Bialystock tells the readers in her article Cognitive Complexity and Attentional Control in the Bilingual Mind that in normal development, the availability of more explicit representations permits the execution of higher levels of attention. Research has shown that when children are presented with a task that requires two processes to determine a solution, or the task requires a higher level of control, that bilingual children will outperform their monolingual counterparts. This is due to the fact that the child's brain now analyzes and processes tasks differently after learning multiple languages. It's believed that bilingualism in children causes damage to their cognitive, social, and emotional aspects of their lives. It was discovered that, in fact, there is no correlation between bilingualism and with the effects or social aspects. A correlation was shown that these children have an advantage over the metalinguistic aspects of language. Metalinguistic is the capability of thinking flexibly and abstractly about language. Both bilingual and monolingual children have this skill. Monolingual children develop this skill through reading. This occurs more naturally with bilingual children, who process tasks more quickly and effectively than their peers. Not only do bilingual children have an upper hand in tasks that require multiprocessing and dissecting the grammar of sentences, they excel in all aspects of general knowledge compared to their monolingual peers. All around, they experience superior cognitive development due to how their brain processes language. According to Patterns in the Mind, Language and Human Nature by Ray S. Jackendorf, all language begins as a thought, which results in the movement of the vocal tract, the lungs, vocal cords, tongue, jaw, and lip, which in turn create a sound wave that is transmitted through the air and is how we create speech between two people. In turn, whoever you are speaking to receives this thought, which you just turned into sound, when the sound wave hits their ear, triggering their brain to go through the same process to produce a response. The brain, however, does not magically begin to create these responses. There's a systematic process that does so. There are two areas of the brain that contribute to your speech. These are the Broca's area and the Wernicke's area. The Wernicke's area processes the sound we hear and assists in interpreting language. It then sends this information to the Broca's area, which produces a thought that turns into speech. Language is encoded by a series of sounds which we use to interpret what is being said to us. These sounds are processed by the Wernicke's area, where it is determined what is being said to us and in what language. That information is then transferred to the Broca's area that form the response, triggering the motor projection areas related to that. Developing a second language within your adult years can cause cognitive improvement for the long run. In an article titled A Cognitive Approach to Language Learning, author Peter Skehan discusses that second language learners develop more effective communication systems while also bettering their memory and cognitive functions. Everyone knows and uses a language except for the few extreme circumstances where someone has suffered serious damage to their brain or have been raised in complete isolation without contact with anyone or anything. Also, research has shown that no other species has a language that is as complex with the same communicative power as humans. George Yule, from the study of language, takes into account that these more complex sounds may have developed as we physically evolved over time. As our physical features evolved, we began to be able to articulate words rather than noises. As the brain has developed over time, advancing cognitive functions and developing complex language. Language was derived from the need to communicate more efficiently between two people, starting with what must have been a combination of grunts and groans between two individuals, evolved with their cognitive skills. As they discovered new sounds and new ways of thinking, a more complex form of language and communication was developed. The evolution of language has led to a more constructive and analytical way of thinking. As it progressed and improved, so did the thought process of humans. Human language is unlike any other form of communication due to the fact that it is always adapting and improving. It is a way to share ideas and information between one or more people. Benjamin Morf believes that the language you speak leads you to think a certain way. This is known as linguistic relativity. For example, a language with a richer vocabulary may see the color orange as tangerine or call pink salmon. These different languages can be seen in the culture and actions across various groups. Lead to words, and those words lead to action, which vary across language cultures. Such as some languages vary in how they describe a specific event, while those who speak English use an active voice when describing an event and name the agent of the action. Languages like Spanish do not. This can also cause a difference in how the language you hear most often has the tendency to guide your way of thinking by either leaving out or putting emphasis on certain topics. This attention not only influences the language itself, but also shapes the cognition. The effect language has on one's cognition is indeed noteworthy, but not irreversible. A lot of language is interpreting what is left unsaid and making assumptions to gather more information. This is done by using our knowledge of how the language is normally used, or pragmatics. Certain terms are used differently across cultural languages. We believe that a word or phrase means something and make an assumption based on that when it does not. In conclusion, language affects the cognitive function in many points of life, from early childhood development and seeing the advantage of bilingualism over monolingualism and the effects cognitively as we age, to individual thoughts, words created, and the actions that follow suit, and how it is viewed across cultural boundaries.